Map is going to be Tower of Hoeth, and round one. So we're going to see my opponent bringing Mortis Engine. He's going to have some Crypt Horrors, like that pick with their regeneration. Sternsman Graveguard, regular Graveguard, Zombies, Blood Knights with the Dire Pack Wolves, some Fell Bats, 2 Banshees, and Heinrich Kemmler. If you have Scrum trying to kill a Lord, is it worth sending in even weak units, or does that just boost the enemy Lord's morale by giving it something easy to kill? Ooh. So for that one, bud, I have Morslab, by the way. I'm going to be targeting the Sternsman all day, and the beginning of this battle is literally just the approach, so we'll watch that cinematically. Thank you. You may need the charger. It's dying. If you have Scrum trying to kill a Lord, is it worth sending in even weak units, or does that just boost the enemy's morale? Honestly, it's situational. It can be a bit of both, Van Dangley. You can have your Lord trying to kill a Lord, and a lot of the times it's worth it to send in the Chaff because they help meat shield. But if your Chaff, you know, is just in a terror out as soon as they get there, it may be a better idea not to send them in at all, because then them routing will debuff the leadership of your Lord, and also potentially buff the enemy leaderships. The enemy Lord's leadership by, like you say, giving it something easy to kill. So it's very situational, and that's something I think just comes with time in the game, of trying to get a good feel of when you should do it, when you shouldn't do it. But yeah, it's a tough, and it's also Lord situational. Terror Lords can be risky. Non-Terror Lords, I usually think it's a safe bet. Just send in everything you got, because overwhelming them, giving them surround penalty will be far more valuable. And right now, the Eye of Morslab, I love it so much. The Sternsman Graveguard basically deleted before the battle even begins. Obviously, they can be resurrected. Obviously, they have regeneration. But they are crumbling right now. And the Eye of Morslab, I'm very pleased with its performance thus far. And looks like we're going to start targeting Crypt Horrors at that point. We're going to have a Vile Tide go down, do some nice damage to those units. But obviously, at this point, I'm on borrowed time. I'm trying to do as much damage as I possibly can to this force as it approaches, because once it closes the gap, it's going to be tough as hell with all of the healing power here. 2 Holy Lodestones, 2 Crypt Horrors. We have Blood Knights and Dire Pack Wolves to pressure the backline if needed. In my army, I have 2 Giants, 2 Gorbals, and Malagor the Dark Omen, along with the Eye of Morslab, trying to go for a elite unit Blob Smasher. But honestly, in hindsight, probably should have gone with a lot more mobility, because by not having enough mobility really gave the mobility advantage to the Vampire Counts and Spade here. And also, not any magic killing power. These Banshees are going to be a thorn in my side non-stop. And over here, we have Krell getting summoned. I'm going to have my Giant trying to smash him. But yeah, Krell getting summoned in the rear. Heinrich Kemmler doing well for himself. And in the back lines, I have the Centaurs with throwing axes just waiting for the right time to come out. Dire Pack Wolf look like they're coming in for a beautiful rear charge. And Krell's getting smashed. Honestly, I thought it was a White King. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have focused on him, and I would have just run away. So I'm glad I noticed that now. That is a summon, and usually my philosophy with summons is don't try to do damage to a summon. It will die eventually as long as you just ignore it. Over here, we do have Malagor, the Dark Omen, and the Giant actually doing some good damage to the Banshee that I didn't really notice before, but it's down to half health. However, the rest of the Vampire forces are continuing to just tank away. And you can see my Gorbal, one of them is already taking quite a lot of damage. This Giant's starting to take significant damage. And I'm going to be desperately trying to come out here and kill the Corpse Cart, but a beautiful counter here from Turin brings in this Blood Knights. And yeah, Blood Knights going in there and starting to really turn the tide of this battle. My Gorbal is taking a lot of damage. Gorbals aren't helpless by any means, but when it comes to Blood Knights, the only time I want to be engaged with them is if I have lovely infantry supporting me, which I don't. And this Banshee that I did so much damage to, that I tried so hard to take care of, is now getting Invocation of the Hecht. And already it's back above half health, no longer crumbling. Also, at this time, I do believe the throwing axes come out. But look at that, a zombie summon and the Dire Pack Wolf coming in, trying to kill the Dire Pack Wolf off with the Blackhorn's Ravager supporting the throwing axes, but I really need to get these throwing axes into combat desperately. The Blood Knights are diminished turning around. I guess I turned that combat around, I believe, because what we didn't see off camera is I pulled my throwing axes here and started throwing a lot of axes into the side of them. But they're going to survive with 14 models, and I imagine get healed up for the end game here. Meanwhile, over here, we do see the Banshees and Heinrich Kemmler focusing on this giant, and this giant is going down so quickly. And then over here, same thing. My giant is getting completely countered by these crypt horrors and these skeleton spearmen. So at this point, it's all starting to fall apart. One giant going down. My Lord is really far back now. Looks like he's trying to regroup some of these units. Some of my throwing axes running away completely. Down here, it looks like I'm just trying to get some kind of resemblance of... And holy cow, I'm red in this battle replay. My bad. I guess I must have grabbed Turin's replays on accident. So I have it backwards. I'm the red player here. Turin is the blue player. Now Malagor, Dark Omen, still alive, trying to buff the leadership of nearby units. But honestly, at this point, I think the writing's already on the wall. And that's just by virtue of how much damage I've already taken. I have Morsev going after this Banshee. He does magical damage, so he's really all I have to rely on to dish out that damage to the Banshees. But at this point, you know, they have their regenerating units spread around the field, the corpse carts with the unholy lodestones, and he has successfully isolated my units all from each other. And to be honest, I just think I kind of lost my micro there. I lost track of what was going on in the woods, and Turin completely capitalized on it. So well played to him. You know, this giant getting killed up, isolated, this giant already dead, laying with his face in the dirt. And over here, my Gorbals starting to take a lot of damage. One of them very low on health, the other one already down to about half health. And in comes the Mortis engine and the rest of the vampire forces to, you know, knock out the rest of my Beastmen army. And look at that, the Sternsmen are still alive, guys. In spite of all that initial damage, they're still alive, coming into the fight. And there goes the army losses kicking in. I have Morslev's the only thing holding together. And that's going to be a GG to Turin in this first round of the best of 5. Didn't take him long to get his eye in. I have Morsadeb? I can't remember what I even targeted it on. That's never a good sign if I don't remember what I targeted my one net on. But yeah, great game to him. It's a hard matchup for the Beastmen, but I do want to point out that I just think I played that not the best. And also this build, in hindsight, not really the best suited. Main thing here is Morgor, probably a better option with those Chaos Spawn. Probably should have had Chaos Spawn in this army by default, just because they're so useful with that Unbreakable trait, especially against vampire counts or any undead factions where there's a lot of fear and terror on the field. So, you know, very well played to him, not to take away from his play at all, but yeah, I just want to call out that that army is a bit whack. So, any new players watching this, I would say, I mean, I don't want to completely blame it on the army. Like, maybe there's some paths to victory here if I would have played that a lot smarter. Isolated units used superior mobility, but I'm not the best at microing, and that would have been a very hard way to micro, and I just think the 2 giants were overkill in the end.